Hey guys, in this video, part 3 of 1776, we are going to be covering things that are hidden in plain sight, showing how this dark kingdom operates right in front of us, performing rituals, spells, and it just passes right under everybody's nose. And we're going to dive into this stuff a little bit so that you can see some of the inner workings of the spells and how they manifest out in the physical realm in the public arena. So let's dive right in. It's going to be this link here, hidden in plain sight. Now I am using this on the creators page. So your little zoom key will be down here on the bottom right. And we're going to start over here on the right hand side and work our way to the left. So we're going to start right here. As you know, being a member of this channel, or if you're new here, you will be finding out that everything is hidden in the movies, and we get so much disclosure through entertainment that it's really the best source of information if you want to know the truth of what's really happening in the world. Of course, you need the Holy Spirit's guidance to be able to see these things and understand them for what they are. But there's so much hidden that it would be unbeneficial to skip over these kind of things. But in this clip, we are going to be looking at 1984 Ghostbusters, and they are going to be referring to a building, which we will talk about. And of course, I'm going to compare it to another building, this one here. And they're going to talk about the architect of the building. They're going to talk about what the secret society of the architect of the building worshipped. They're going to talk about the destruction of Manhattan, and that part's right in Revelation 18. But anyways, let's watch the clip, and then we'll look into the names, the numbers, and decode what's going on with this spell here.
The structure of this roof cap is exactly like the kind of telemetry tracker that NASA uses to identify dead pulsars in deep space.
Cold riveted girders with cores of pure selenium.
So what? I guess they just don't make them like they used to, huh?
No! Nobody ever made them like this. I mean, the architect was either a certified genius or an authentic wacko. The whole building is a huge superconductive antenna that was designed and built expressly for the purpose of pulling in and concentrating spiritual turbulence.
It's not the girl, Peter, it's the building. Something terrible is about to enter our world, and this building is obviously the door. The architect's name was Ivo Shandor. I found it in Tobin's Spirit Guide. He was also a doctor, performed a lot of unnecessary surgery. And then in 1920, he started a secret society.
Let me guess. Gozer worshippers.
Right. After the First World War, Shandor decided that society was too sick to survive. And he wasn't alone. He had close to 1,000 followers when he died. They conducted rituals up on the roof. Bizarre rituals intended to bring about the end of the world. And now it looks like it may actually happen.
Or you could accept the fact that this city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportion.
What do you mean, biblical? What he means is Old Testament, Mr. Mayor. Real wrath of God type stuff.
Exactly.
Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, 40 years of darkness, 40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dead rising from the grave. Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Okay, so we heard about this building, which is used to harness spiritual energy. And in the Ghostbusters, this is the building right here. No coincidence that it's 55 Central Park West. You know, Satan 55. But the architect of the building in the movie, his name was Ivo Shandor, and he led a cult which was dedicated to the worship of Gozer. Okay, if we put Gozer in the alphanumeric calculator, you see that it has a value of 71. If you put Apollo in the calculator, you'll see that it has a value of 71. Gozer Apollo, right? Releasing Gozer from its prison. Releasing Apollo from his prison. It says Evo Shandor was a doctor and the leader of a cult that worshipped the Sumerian god Gozer, which we see as Apollo. He is known for designing the building at 550 Central Park West, which served as a gateway for Gozer to enter the physical world in the Ghostbusters franchise. This is exactly what's happening with the One World Trade. Now watch this. Before we go down there and dive into Evo Shandor, I don't want to forget to mention this, but you heard in here that they said 40 years of darkness. Okay, so here's a movie from 1984 pointing 40 years into the future, 2024. In this one, it takes place in the future with Star Trek's Picard, and they are finding out that the world is ending. And so they have to go try and find out where the beginning of the end of the world happened, where this something was unlocked. And it pointed them back to the year 2024. So this is a very interesting connection with the year of 2024. Something definitely happened in 2024. So if you haven't checked this out, definitely check it out. But let's go check out Evo Shandor, because this gets really, really interesting, you guys. What I'm doing here is I'm showing you a connection between Ghostbusters talking about this building built by Evo Shandor to worship Gozer. I'm going to show you that it was actually this guy who built this building to worship Apollo and bring him in to this world. Okay, it's all right here, and it's crazy. Watch this. Let's take a look at who was the architect of the One World Trade. His name was David Magi Childs, born April 1st, 1941. Oh, isn't that an interesting birthday? 411941. Pretty interesting, right? Considering that 14 is 7-Eleven. And died March 26, 2025. And he was an American architect and chairman of the architectural firm Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill. He was the architect record for One World Trade Center in New York City, which became the Western Hemisphere's tallest skyscraper when it was completed in 2014. Oh, look at, here's 14 again. 14. Isn't that interesting? His middle name is Magi, which is magic. The only thing they did is they put an E on there, thinking they would be cute, trying to hide it. He died when he was 83. 3 8s, 888. How interesting, right? Because he died on 3/26, which is 3/8. 888 and 888 is 1776, which is how tall this building is, which is the spell itself. This is crazy. And we're talking about David's child, right? Think about that. Jesus is referred to as the son of David. He is coming back to set his children free. You see the Antichrist ritual magic taking place here? Here they have somebody who designed this key to bring Apollo into this world, and his name is David Magi Childs. That's insane. All right, so let's go over here and take a look at the calculators. So, first I want you to see this. Evo Shandor has a numerical value of 125. Now, if you take the E out of Magi, okay, and you spell it like it would be spelled in the Bible, his name, David Childs Magi, without the E, is exactly 125. Now, I know some of you are going, but you took the E off, And my argument to you is, but they put it on. Now, this is crazy. All right. I also did it with the E on there. And this is what it comes out to. 130, 16, 58, 88. A portal to bring through the Antichrist. I hope you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. I know you are. Okay? Now, this guy, David Childs, wasn't just the architect for the One World Trade Center. No. Let's read this. One Worldwide Plaza is an office skyscraper in Hell's Kitchen neighborhood of Manhattan in New York, designed by David Childs of Skidmore, Owings, and Merrill. He also was the architect behind One Worldwide Plaza in Hell's Kitchen. And that building was 778 feet tall, and you guessed it, 237 meters tall. 237. Come on. It has an alternative address of 8258 8th Avenue. It is the easternmost of 3 buildings in Worldwide Plaza, a commercial and residential complex that occupies the entire block bounded by 8th Avenue, 9th Avenue, 49th Street, and 50th Street, and is built on the site of New York City's 3rd Madison Square Garden. Are you kidding me? You see these connections? Like when I made this video about the cube and the symbolism coming forth, Madison Square Garden was one of the main points of this video. And there was no connection being made between this video and that video until I saw this. That's just crazy. All this stuff is so connected, you guys. That's what I'm saying. It's all hidden in plain sight. And once you start pulling at a thread, well, it goes a little further, then a little further, right? Because now, look, I've now found this symbol here, right in the complex of the old Twin Towers. Right? Here you go. Boom, boom, boom. Here's your square. Here's your circle. And look, this corner isn't completed. It's a doorway into the cube. But see what happens. Watch this. When those buildings come down, right? You can see here, this is where the buildings used to be. And here's One World Trade now. And you can see here that this symbol is now on the top. Right? Says on the left, you can see the symbol at the foot of the 2 towers, and they make a doorway into the cube. And above, you can see that the incomplete box was destroyed here. And when the 2 became 1, it was exalted and completed at the top of the 3rd temple, aka the tower. Okay, make no mistake about it. This is ritual magic. I've covered these buildings before and will be covering them pretty in depth when I get to the Apollo section of the video. Now, I'm going to show you this because this is very interesting. I just want to show you the dark magic here and how this stuff is all connected. Here's another connection that the Lord led me to, which I found very interesting. When the 2 towers came down, it wasn't just the 2 towers, it was also building 7. So it was 7-11, right? So 3 buildings came down, and then 1 went up in their place. Okay? In Daniel 7, verse 8, it says this: I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. This is very interesting because these buildings were plucked up by the root. And this one came up in its place during Obama's presidency. The authority. Okay, this came up in his authority. And it says, I considered the horns, and beheld, there came up among them another little horn, before whom there were 3 of the first ones plucked up by the root. So before this horn came up, there were 3 horns plucked up by the roots. You see what's happening here? Ritual magic. Now, this is also very interesting because we know that Obama is the 5th head and the 8th head from the Revelation 17 prophecy. But watch what happens here. Okay, because when Daniel is considering these horns, there are 10 of them. So there's 10 horns. 3 of the horns are plucked up, which leaves 7. And then there comes up another horn, which would make 8. So no matter how you look at this prophecy, Obama is always the 8th. All these prophecies all line up. Other people will see different things in different scriptures. We all see things different. We're all performing different parts of the Lord's will in the body of Christ. So some people will understand the way I put it forth. Some people will understand the way someone else puts it forth, and so on and so forth. So this is dark ritual magic happening here. And as I said, we'll get into these buildings more during the Apollo section of the video. All right. Now we're going to go a little further in this direction. So here we have Magi. The association was in turn the product of the Hellenistic fascination for pseudo-Zoroaster, who was perceived by the Greeks to be the Chaldean founder of the Magi and the inventor of both astrology and magic, a meaning that still survives in the modern day words magic and magician. All right, so this is David's child, Magi, that created this building to bring through the Antichrist. Magi, plural, and magus, singularity, is the term for the priests of Zoroastrianism or earlier Iranian religions. It's also the term in the Church of Satan, which is what this whole system that we are in operates on. Okay? Here you're going to see these are the 5 degrees of the Church of Satan. Well, I guess it would be 6, but the first one's called no degree, so I guess it doesn't really count. So there are 6 listed, but only 5 degrees. But this is from the Church of Satan, the hierarchy page. Okay? Registered member, that's no degree. An active member, which is referred to as a Satanist, that's the 1st degree. Witch and warlock, that would be 2nd degree. Priest and priestess, 3rd degree. Magistra, magister, 4th degree. Maga and magus, 5th degree. All right, so these magis and maguses, these are members of the Church of Satan. These are satanic dark magicians. Okay, and they run the world. That's what we're getting at with this whole series of stuff, breaking down how it works, showing you the stuff that's hidden right in plain sight. But you got to really look for it, and you have to be led by the Holy Spirit to find a lot of this stuff. So thank God for leading us to this stuff so that we can expose and hopefully open some eyes in the process. All right, so what I've done here is I have thought about the system and how the system runs, and I have coordinated how these people would fit and where they would fit in their association in the government with the Church of Satan over here. Okay, so the registered member would be to no degree, because make no mistake, okay, we live inside this system. The United States, probably the entire earth, but I'm just talking about the US because this is the 1776 bill that I'm breaking down. We live inside this system that has been built by Satan. It's a satanic system, and these are his minions and his servants. These are his children. And so this is how they have set it up. Make no mistake about it. We're brought up to think that America's free and this is that, and that we can trust the government and to vote and to do this and to just do community change by voting and, get a new governor. And yeah, they choose all those people. All that stuff is fake. It's to pacify the public so that they don't wake up and rise up. It's just pacification. That's all it is. None of that stuff's real. We don't pick anything. All right. So everyone involved in this system is involved in the satanic system. Okay. So that's what I've done here is associated the system with the Church of Satan. All right. So a registered member, no degree. This would be someone who is associated with a political party. So, but you don't really do anything. You're just like, yes, I'm a Republican. Yes, I'm a Democrat. Okay, that means you are a registered member of this system. But you don't get a degree, but you're part of it. You see? So already right there, they got you. An active member, Satanist, first degree. Okay? In the legal system, this would be a mayor or a lawyer. Okay, so what I've done is I put legal, okay, because the branches of government are executive, judicial, and legislative. So I tried to lay out for you how these branches of government break down and connect to this list. All right, so mayor and lawyer would be an active member. Load, first degree. Witch and warlock, now this would be a governor status or prosecutor status, right? Someone that's now putting people away for the system. Now you got priestess and priest, third degree. This would be your congressman or like a state judge, for a superior court. Then you got your magistra and your magister, fourth degree. Okay, now we're talking senators, federal judges. Then you have MAGA and Magus, fifth degree. Now this is presidents and supreme justices. All right. Now, if we go up here and read this from the Church of Satan, the same page I got this from, you'll see it says, these are individuals who act as spokesmen for the philosophy of the Church of Satan, which include the titles priest, priestess, magister, magistra, maga, magus. Members of the priesthood make up the Council of Nine, which is the ruling body of the organization appointed by and responsible to the high priest and priestess. So you see here that these top three, the priestess, the magistra, and the maga, okay, the Congress, the senator, the president, these three are the ones who pick these 9 Supreme Court justices. And these 9 rule over the land. So then these 9, this is what's referred to, you often hear referred to as the Council of 9. Don't think for 1 second that these people are not full of demons. because they are. Unless they're fallen angels, which it could also be. I can't say either way. All I can tell you is that this is the Satanic Council of Nine, which is referred to right here. And this is how the system breaks down in the government. Okay, so this is what it looks like inside the Satanic Church. This is what it looks like in our government. Okay, and there are gatekeepers. I know the system that's been built is very convincing to people. People are like, no, we can vote. It's real, right? This is, if you can't even get past the fact that we don't actually get to vote and that your voting is just a trap, see my video called The Curse of Voting if you want to understand deeper. But if you can't get past that, then no, you're never going to be able to take in this kind of stuff. Like, your vote doesn't count. That's small potatoes. Like this, what I'm showing you, this is big potatoes. So we gotta learn to accept these things and just come to the understanding that it's okay to acknowledge that you've been lied to. We all have been lied to. We all had to come to this understanding. Because until you accept the fact that everything that we were taught growing up is a lie, then you're never ever going to be able to understand the truth. This is a video playlist coming to America. I just put this here because if you haven't seen this, then you definitely want to check it out. But a lot of the stuff we're talking about here is all in this series. And there's a lot of deep dive into biblical prophecies that have to do with America that I unpack in this series. So I would highly suggest you check it out if you haven't, so you can see what's coming, because a lot of people are not ready. Most people are not ready. And that includes myself. All right, so if we come over here from the Council of Nine, we're going to see some fruit of this poisonous tree. Okay, because this is the law of the land. This is the Council of Nine that pushes out the demonic agenda of law over the land. So I've pulled up a couple things here, and they both have to do with the number 23. So that's why I'm going to use them, because I'm just trying to show people this has always been in our faces, and they use this stuff on purpose. So this is section 230. We'll start here. Section in the United States, section 230 is a section of the Communications Act of 1934 that was enacted as part of Communications Decency Act of 1996, which is a Title 5 of the Telecommunications Act of 1996, and generally provides immunity for online computer services with respect to third-party content generated by their users. At its core, Section 230C1 provides immunity from liability for providers and users of an interactive computer service who publish information by third-party users. Section 230C2 further provides Good Samaritan protection from civil liberty for operators of interactive computer services in the voluntary good faith removal or moderation of third-party material the operator considers to be obscene, lewd, lascivious, filthy, excessively violent, harassing, or otherwise objectionable, whether or not such material is constitutionally protected. So, what this basically says is this is a protection, and I'll just use Facebook as an example because everybody knows what they are. So this is basically, this first part is basically saying that Facebook can't be held liable for anything that you post, right? So anything that is creating issues or whatever, if it comes down to it, they can't be held accountable for something that you posted. But in this part, it gives them permission to censor you. So they can't be held accountable for anything that you say, but they can censor you if they want, and they won't get in trouble. Interesting, right? So it's just a blanket covering for these companies. Now, one thing that I've been stewing around in my mind and I've pretty much come to the conclusion on is that I am starting to believe all these companies like Facebook, Twitter, these companies, much like the AI, were entity driven for the Dark Kingdom to collect all the information on all the people, building a database for the manifestation of the AIs. Like the internet was literally invented for the purpose of destroying humanity. And so this protection is to protect the system, not the people. So obviously Section 230 is 23, which we know. And of course, it is not surprising one bit that it was enacted as part of the Communications Decency Act of 1996. Right? Get rid of that one. We got 666, which is Title 5 of the Telecommunications Act of 666. Title 5. So we have title. It is 66. So title 66, 5 is 23. V is also Lucifer's letter, right? And C1 is 31, 13, or 7667, right? So you see all the numbers in here, the years, the title 5, everything is demonic. Down here you see section 230 C2, C is 3. So C2, 32, 23. Section is 58 or 85, right? 58. So you have 58, 23, 32. I mean, this is crazy. Every single thing is a dark ritual magic number. Here you can see in the little blip, it says section, which is 58, 230, which is 23, the 104th Congress, which is 14, which is 77, 711, 911. You have February 8th, 1996, which is 28, 666. USC 47, spiritual possession 230. This is crazy. I mean, this is right in your face. So here's the little note that I wrote at the bottom. Demons are in the tech. They always have been. It doesn't work without them. It's their tech. See Demons in Technology for more on this. That's this video here. If you click it, it's linked. This is why there was a rule made protecting the face of those AI sites like Facebook, X, giving demons free reign. So the demon has free reign. It can censor you, and it's never held responsible for anything you say. So if it wants to create turmoil, it can leave hateful comments up. If it wants to make it look like nobody's standing up against this hate, it can erase all the people who are standing up against it and make it look like everybody's for it. I know you guys can see the dark influence that this has on society. Now, this is Agenda 2030, and Agenda is 32. Go figure. 23, 23. You guys, you cannot make this stuff up. Okay? So the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development is a global plan adopted by the United Nations member states in 2015, which includes 17 Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, aimed at eradicating poverty, promoting peace, and ensuring sustainable development for all by the year 2030. It emphasizes the importance of partnerships and the need to leave no one behind in the pursuit of these goals. Yeah, they don't want to leave anyone behind because he shall cause all to receive the mark. They don't leave anybody behind, right? So Agenda 23 is 3223, which I already discussed. This is from our side representing bringing Obama to his place as the Antichrist. Okay, Obama is 32. He is the agenda. Obama has a numerical value of 32, and I have a whole page on him. It's extensive, but the numerical value for Obama is 32, which is agenda. Okay, you see what's happening here? This is the spell to bring forth Obama through 17Q, the spirit of Antichrist, Sustainable Development Goals, which they refer to right here as SDGs. Well, SDG is 237, the cage of the beast. And if you add them together, right, if you're like, well, that's not, it's SDG, not SD space G. I don't know who would do that, but if you would, it would add up to 30 with 3 letters, which is 33. So no matter how you look at it, it's wicked and evil. But this is telling you right here, through Q and Q's prison, they're going to lock everybody up and leave no one behind through Obama's agenda. You see what's happening here? And I put this down here. This is linked to a page, which if you want to read about the UN's, Agenda 2030, then you can click this and go there and check it out. But I'm not going to be talking about any of that stuff today. I'm just trying to break down the spell and to show you all the numbers, how it works, what's going on in it. And so what is going on here? What's my opinion based on these numbers? What is Agenda 2030 really? I believe that this is when the Great Tribulation will begin. I believe this is the spell that finalizes the beast kingdom and that marks the start of the 3.5 years cut short. That would make it 7 years from 2026, which is 2033, which is 1,000 years after the cross, but not a full 7. One of the years are cut short, kind of like the head that was wounded to death, but the beast did live. Now, why do I say this? I'll show you in a minute because I've actually constructed a timeline, and then we're going to go through these scriptures as well. When Jesus was born, that represents year 0, giving us BC and AD. Jesus was a little bit over 33 years old when he was crucified. If you minus the 1,000 years from the timeline, you have 1026. This would be 1,000 years after Jesus was 26. So Agenda 2030 would line up perfect with the Bible. Think about it. Jesus said he would return in 1,000 years. That is 1033 and a half cut short. So in order for the Great Tribulation to begin, it's 3.5 years cut short. It would need to be ready in 2030. It all lines up perfectly with Scripture, you guys. I'll show you in the timeline. It'll make a little bit more sense, but let's cover this because a lot of people are like, 7-year tribulation. Okay, it doesn't say that the tribulation is 7 years, but what I have for you here is food for both. Okay, I have a 7-year tribulation, but I also have the 3.5 years of the Great Tribulation. Okay, because tribulation is beginning this year, in my opinion. So in Daniel 12:7, it says, "And I heard the man clothed in linen, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swear by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times and a half. And when he shall have accomplished to scatter the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished." Okay, so here we're talking about the time of the Antichrist, which says a time, times, and a half. This is 3.5 years. Okay, in Revelation 12:14, we see this. And to the woman were given 2 wings of the great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she is nourished for a time and times and a half. Another 3.5 years. Okay, same 3.5 years. Revelation 11:3, and I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days, 3.5 years. I had to go and get another scripture and add it in. I thought I had it on here, but it wasn't, because I wanted this one to be in there. This is Matthew 24:21-22, and it says, for then shall be great tribulation, which was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever shall be. And except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So these 3.5 years will be cut short for the elect's sake. Now, this all lines up perfectly when I show you this little timeline that I've developed. All right. So this dot here, this will represent year 0, Jesus' birth. So Jesus is born year 0. Now, at year 30, Jesus is baptized and brings the kingdom of God to us for a little less than 3.5 years, right? Because he was crucified at 33. So for a little over 33 years, he built the kingdom. Now, if we go 1,000 years from the cross, we're going to be in the year 1033, right? Which is here. Agenda 2030 is getting ready for Satan's short season, which is the 3.5 years cut short. You see what's happening here? Here's what Christ did. Built the kingdom for 3.5 years, built the kingdom. Now watch, Satan's going to destroy the kingdom in 3.5 years. Christ built, Satan destroys. And so when Agenda 2030 is set up, it will be for those 3.5 years cut short. And everything lines up so perfectly with the scriptures and the understanding of the end times. This is just amazing stuff. And so this is just another little timeline thing I was making, but it's easier to understand this. So I didn't bother showing you that, but it is there. But yeah, this is the understanding of some of the stuff that's hidden right in front of us. This whole system that's designed right in front of us that people vote for. See, understand, once you become, as I was saying earlier, let's zoom back in on this. Right? Once you become associated with a party, you start voting, which means you start connecting yourself to the system, becoming a key part of the system. And as you vote, you're yoking yourself to it. You're giving your energy, your permission to be connected to this thing, which is satanic, dark, and evil. This is why no one can see outside the matrix unless the Lord frees them. Because we're all brought up inside this system that is a spiritual delusion. And without Jesus, you cannot see it. You cannot see it. We all went our whole lives without seeing it until the Lord revealed it to us. Because it's spiritual magic. That's why we can't see it. It's ritual magic. It's designed so that we don't see it. And everything is a part of it. The music, Hollywood, the government, everything. It all has something to do with it. It's all pieces that are built to make this intricate spiritual prison. It's dark. It's very, very dark. But that is the lesson on Hidden in Plain Sight. There are many, many more lessons that I am building and getting to. As you can see, these things are complex. There's a lot to it, a lot of research. But yeah, this has been amazing and very fun putting all this stuff together, doing the research, building this stuff. And I have so much more to show you. There's already enough for 6-7 more videos at least already. So it's immense. But I'm trying to bring it to you in ways that make sense, in chunks that make sense. So that's why I compiled these two, because it seemed like it would be better to put them together and give them as one teaching than two separate ones, because there is connections, and they needed to be made, right? Because it is the Council of Nine that rules over the law of the land. This is the top of the law. And so they're responsible for all these things, this whole system. They put all these spells in place, all these laws, all these systems of control, all this technology. But that brings us to the end of this video, you guys. I hope that you understood everything I was bringing to you. And don't worry, we will be getting into these buildings a lot and diving into this particular spell quite a bit. It will be pretty in depth, because you can't really cover Apollo and Obama the Antichrist without diving into these buildings, because they are a major part of that ritual magic. So until the next video on 1776, you guys, take care and God bless.